Wow, Hellish Other Writer, you're making a video reviewing a show that's already been beat to death for all the opinions it could create and has not even been a thing since 2014. Yeah, this is my channel. But, but you know, I really want to talk about this show. Why? Well, it's because I think enough time has passed and every negative opinion about the show has been shared. And after a long time of just watching this show, listening to other people talk about their opinions on it, about its symbolism and meaning, being a part of the anti Korra bandwagon for a long time too. But now, after a lot of reflection and my personal journey in writing and engaging in the world of media literacy, I've come to the verdict that I am actually quite grateful for The Legend of Korra. Not just as a show in my past, but also as a springboard into my journey of writing and creativity. And it's also acted as a sort of basis for me, a sort of lesson of what not to do when engaging in storytelling, in engaging in media literacy. And now I wish to express my opinion and the lessons I've gained from The Legend of Korra. But firstly, what was my relationship to the show? You know, despite the fact that The Legend of Korra is the sequel series to Avatar The Last Airbender, for me it was actually my introduction into the world and story of the Avatar franchise. And honestly, I quite enjoyed it. It's a genuinely fun show that does have that yeah, it does have bad points every now and then, but overall, I'd say I enjoyed its characterization, its storytelling, its ideas and plots, and so on. But then, after watching Korra, I then decided to give its original series, Avatar The Last Airbender, a shot. And after watching that, I gotta say, I also quite enjoyed it, loving it even. And while I won't say it's the greatest piece of media in existence, like many people often say it is, it's a great show nonetheless. However, strangely enough, while Korra brought me enjoyment, the original series Avatar: The Last Airbender kind of brought me into the internet world, really. And when I say that, I mean the section of the internet around media literacy, and especially it brought me over to the ever controversial place of the internet cultural perception of The Legend of Korra. And um, after just perusing around for 5 minutes, I found this video, this 2 hour long video, I believe, that I clicked on and I came to worship. And that video was Lily Orchard's Why The Legend of Korra is Garbage and Here's Why. And at first, I came to believe that it was a deeply intelligent deconstruction and criticism of The Legend of Korra. But now, when I look back on it, the video is petty and childish, and its criticisms are quite surface level. And for so long, I took up every single word that Lily Orchard said, every insult she gave the show, every insult she gave to its creators, every rant about its messages, about how much she hated its characters, and everything else. And I felt so smart joining on this hatred of the show. And it got even worse when I engaged in the very problematic content of the YouTuber ER and also his insulting and his rather questionable views on the show and its themes and its messages. And, well, I came to believe in Lily Orchard, ER, and so many other people's hatred of The Legend of Korra. And I believed that I was smarter because of that. But now, after so much time, after the long ago made realization that Lily Orchard is ultimately a horrible media critic, and after looking up all the allegations, a reprehensible human being, and that ER is a morally questionable creator, and that I realized that these two creators and so on had worldviews on life, media, and morality that I could not support nor give credit to, I came to instead regain my sense of neutrality over my perception of the Legend of Korra. And over time, I started to regain my critical thinking skills about media, writing, storytelling, and the morality and the moral code that I personally hold myself to. But for a long time, my thoughts on The Legend of Korra were on the back burner. However, recently recently, I'm just gonna admit this, I started to engage in role plays and just going through some fun ideas for revisions of The Legend of Korra, of like stories that could emerge from like different scenarios and so on. And after I watched Hello Future Me's very fun videos about rewriting The Legend of Korra, which has to be one of my favorite series on YouTube, this engagement with the show's story and ideas and listening to how other people would rewrite and revise some parts of the show, it made me want to go back and watch the show again. But when I signed into Netflix, I couldn't find The Legend of Korra. Instead, I found the original Avatar The Last Airbender, the rebooted version, which I am still confused in all of hell why that thing even exists, and the dreaded M. Night Shyamalan version. But I couldn't find Korra. Now, to most people, they wouldn't really bother, and would probably say good riddance if they were a creator that, like Lily Orchard, who hated the show vehemently. But for me, I didn't feel anger or satisfaction, but what I felt instead was sadness. I felt sad that this crucial part of my journey into the world of storytelling, of media engagement, of media literacy, and just generally being a person was gone from me. And, well, now I want to spend the time and this video talking about it, about why I appreciate this show so much, what aspects of the show I enjoyed, and the personal legacy it left for me, and why I no longer hate it, but feel sad that I underappreciated it. When I look back to Korra, the show, I realized a critical lesson that unwittingly taught me that I have kept with me and used whenever I engage in media or in storytelling. And that lesson is that that writers, creators, artists should always use their ideas to their fullest potential. Part of the reason why so many people hate Korra so much is probably because it doesn't go to its full storytelling potential. Like, and I mean this genuinely, the idea and concept of The Legend of Korra is a genuinely good one. And there is so much storytelling potential, so many ideas for settings of character arcs. and plots and discussions. And it could have easily become an amazing franchise that could have superseded the original Avatar. But no, its run from 2012 ended in 2014 after lowering viewer ratings and more critical receptions of it. And its greatest legacy that it currently holds is being hated upon, and I mean hated upon, by much of the internet to extreme lengths that are almost cartoonish. And it saddens me, genuinely. I personally believe that many pieces of media deserve a chance to be seen and engaged with critically and honestly. However, the thing with Korra is that it didn't reach its full promise. It has so many genuinely good ideas, like in season 1, talking about the literal disparity between those who can bend the elements and those who are unable to who are not born with such powers, and the political and social divide and stratification that emerges from that. Or in season 2, the adventures of a post colonial society that is trying to find a new destiny while traditionalist beliefs and factions hold it back from trying to achieve a new future. Or in season 3, the the argument of freedom and of order and trying to find a balance and trying to find a new tomorrow, a new future in an ever authoritarian and stagnant world. Or in season 4, grappling with the powers of nationalism, patriotism, of historical legacies and humiliation, and generations of people trying to find a new national purpose when the one that held them together for so long has been shattered. And in each of these seasons, I enjoyed them all equally. However, I do think the problem with each season is that it doesn't go far enough in its exploration of the ideas presented. It didn't take the extra mile in the development of these ideas and the amazing storytelling and characterization potential that each season had. But strangely enough, that's why I really do appreciate the show. It taught me the lesson about potential. It gave me valuable insight on writing, on taking your idea and developing it to the fullest. To take a bunch of stone and to make a beautiful sculpture out of it, to take a seed and to grow a tree from it. Because here's a fact of the matter: to those who just crap on pieces of media all the time, like The Legend of Korra, like Steven Universe, like Adventure Time, like She-Ra, you can call them bad. You can call their writers horrible and unworthy of touching the subject of art. But here's a fact you can't avoid: someone can create something terrible, but you can still gather a lesson and enjoyment from it. And you can still feel attached to this piece of media that did teach you a lesson or gave you enjoyment. You can feel nostalgia for it. And The Legend of Korra, to me, it's a fantastic piece of media, not because of how good the story is, but because of the lessons and the creativity that can spark in you. Because you're not sitting there thinking, God, this is shite. No, you're thinking, hey, what if they did this instead? Or, hey, they could have done this with the setting or this character. And I appreciate the show for that reason. It taught me something I hold and appreciate in its principles and its practice. And that lesson is to always go take an idea to its fullest potential. Now, Moving past the reasons of why I appreciate The Legend of Korra, I want to talk about what I did enjoy about the show directly. Well, surprisingly, to me, I found my favorite thing about The Legend of Korra being Korra herself. Why is this? Well, it's because she's a character who I genuinely believe has an amazing character development and evolution in the show. At first, she's just a hothead who seeks to just punch things and ask questions later, to always seek violence as the answer to every issue. But over the show, she becomes a deeply contemplative person who no longer seeks a fight to solve her issues, but instead seeks dialogue and empathy and understanding in order to avoid conflict, to always solve conflict peacefully. And while I do think that Korra herself is a fantastic character, she isn't the only thing I enjoyed. I quite liked the show because of the political dilemmas and the potential story ideas it presents, and it gives and its ability to give genuinely good discussions on their stances and the of imagination you can glean from them. In season one, you have the Equalists, a sort of political party slash guerrilla underground movement that seeks to remove bending from the entire world and to make everyone equal in their abilities. In season two, you have Unlock, a man trying to bring about a spiritual realignment by bringing darkness to the world. Okay, I will admit, I find his story kind of stupid, especially the bit where he planned on becoming a dark avatar. But moving on. In season 3, you have Zahir and the Red Lotus, an anarchist group seeking to overthrow all governments and form a new world order where individuals are free from authority, free from political manipulation, and are loyal to themselves and those they love. Hey, what's Big Boss doing here? And finally, season 4, Kuvira and the Earth Empire, a authoritarian regime seeking to bring back their country's importance and power and purpose in an ever changing world. Hey, what's Hitler doing here? Seriously, while the execution of the show is questionable, you can't deny that the show does have some genuinely good ideas for plots and stories and discussions about real world topics and issues. In fact, it's so well done that sometimes I just plan out entire role plays where I explore a scenario set in the Avatar world. My particular favorite being the scenario where the Equalists have defeated Korra, but Korra is trying to overthrow their regime from underground, where the tables are switched, where the Equalists now have all this power and the ability to enforce their agenda, and Korra has to try and take back that power. And the characters. Man, the characters. They are quite fascinating, particularly the villains and the side characters. Other than Korra, my favorite characters have to be the likes of Aman from season 1, Varric and Zhu Li from season 2 and onwards, Zahir from season 3, Kuvira in season 4, and Tenzin. Man, Tenzin! Each of them have incredible arcs and stories that I was genuinely attached to. My favorite of these side characters and villains, in particular, being Kuvira, the dictator who realized that her ways of trying to bring back the world, to bring back her country into the world by forcing it in there, and how it ultimately became her undoing, and how she surrendered honorably when Korra showed her compassion. While the show may not have had the greatest plots and setups, it's hard to deny that it has some amazing characterization that I genuinely believe outpaces some of some aspects of Avatar The Last Airbender by light years. And its setup and setting and the potential it has is really good, truly. And that is what I find so appealing about The Legend of Korra. its potential to have discussions, its attempts to explore these topics in a maybe not nuanced way, but just to try and grasp at them, and the characterizations and so on. That is what The Legend of Korra did for me, and why I enjoy it even till this day. While much of the internet and many of its creators will continue to scorn this show for its existence and shortcomings, I offer up a counterpoint. Instead of hating the show to hyperbolic extremes, why don't we appreciate it for giving us a lesson in writing and how to properly engage in storytelling? That's the legacy that it should have. It shouldn't be one of hatred and disappointment, but of the gratefulness that we feel that we have such a case of the issues of not fulfilling one's potential, of how by exploring our ideas and developing them to the fullest, we can create new works of art that can truly define each and every writer and perhaps even entire cultures. And how by doing this, our works can avoid the same fate that the Legend of Korra was unjustly given. But moving past the issues, moving past all the vitriol for the show, all of its shortcomings, all of its issues, I have one last thing to say. Thank you, Korra. Thank you for the lessons you gave me in writing. Thank you for the story you told. Thank you for being my entrance into the world of media literacy and eventually helping me regain my individual consciousness and opinion, not just in writing, but in morals, life, and so on. And for setting me on this journey. That I cannot thank you more. But overall, thank you for being there. While the world shall spit on you, I shall cherish you instead. And with that, goodbye, Korra. The ride was amazing, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else in the world.